ever put your foot in your mouth? Not literally, of course, but like said or did something that you thought was totally normal, but it landed so wrong.
Oh yeah, we've all been there, haven't we? It's like instant regret.
Right. Like, did I accidentally teleport to another planet where the rules of human decency are completely different? Turns out those awkward moments are often cultural clashes, and that's what we're diving into today, the iceberg of culture. We're going beyond those surface-level differences, the food, the fashion, to understand the deeper values that drive how people behave. You've sent over some really interesting stuff for this deep dive. We've got excerpts from a textbook, some diagrams, really cool stuff, and we're going to unpack all that juicy info to help you navigate those tricky cultural waters.
It's funny, we often don't realize how much we take our own cultures for granted, you know? Like we're fish swimming in water, not even aware it's there. Then bam, cultural iceberg.
Exactly, and I love how this excerpt puts it. Cultural conditioning is like an iceberg. We're only aware of the tip. It's those hidden elements below the surface that often trip us up.
It's like those hidden values and assumptions and all those unspoken rules.
Yeah.
Right, we don't even realize they're there until we bump right into them.
And those collisions can be awkward, to say the least. So how do we avoid them? How do we start to understand those deeper cultural currents?
I think that's where the iceberg analogy is so helpful, right? Like you wouldn't want to steer a ship into the hidden part of an iceberg. We need to be aware of those cultural depths to navigate those interactions successfully.
Okay, so the iceberg represents all those hidden elements, but where do we even begin to break those down?
Well, what might be considered polite or professional in one culture, like totally different meaning in another.
Okay, so how do we learn those unspoken rules? How do we figure out what's lurking beneath the surface? Okay, so this source material lays out what it calls the elements of culture. Is this like the decoder ring we need to unlock all these mysteries?
It's a great way to think about it. Yeah, it's like these are the building blocks of culture, and once you understand them, you can start to see those subtle cues, avoid those iceberg moments.
All right, lay it on me. We've got material culture, social institutions, humans in the universe, aesthetics, and language. Ambitious, where do we even start?
Let's start with material culture. This one's all about, like, technology and economics. Might seem kind of basic, but it really impacts how cultures interact.
Okay, so give me an example. How does technology shape things?
Well, like, imagine you're trying to close a business deal, right?
Right.
But you're in a culture that doesn't have reliable internet access. Your usual reliance on virtual meetings, instant communication, that all goes out the window.
You'd have to adjust, for sure.
Right. You might need to slow down, focus more on building that personal connection, face to face.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about understanding the context, right? Like the circumstances in which those cultural values evolved. What about economics? How does that factor in?
So economics isn't just about money, right? It's about the whole system of how goods and services are produced, distributed, how people get what they need.
Got it.
And the source material was saying how this impacts everything from like business etiquette to get this attitudes towards negotiation.
Fascinating. So like a culture with a scarcity mindset might approach negotiations way differently than one with an abundance mindset.
Exactly. So understanding those underlying economic influences can be super helpful.
Material culture check. Okay, what about social institutions? This one feels pretty major, like core to how societies function.
It's huge. This element is about family structures, education systems, religious practices, all those institutions that shape our values from like day one.
And those values play out in ways we might not even realize, right? Like there's that example in here about how travel ads are tailored to different cultural groups in Canada. English ads might emphasize individual exploration, but the French ads often show like couples or families, reflecting the importance of those social connections in French-Canadian culture.
Subtle but powerful example of how deeply ingrained those social structures are. What we might think is an individual choice, like, oh, I prefer to travel solo, is often deeply rooted in those cultural norms.
So we gotta dig deeper, look beyond the surface. Okay, we've got material culture, we've got social institutions, and now humans in the universe. This one sounds pretty profound.
It's getting deep, right? This element gets into the big questions. Life, death, spirituality, our place in the grand scheme of things.
Right, the meaning of life, all that.
Religion, superstitions, philosophies, they all shape how we interpret the world.
And those interpretations can be wildly different culture to culture. Like, I'm remembering that example from the materials about that fashion house that incorporated verses from the Quran into their designs. They thought it was a beautiful tribute, but it actually sparked a lot of anger from some Muslim customers.
So, yeah. Shows how even with the best intentions, lack of cultural awareness can lead to complications. What's seen as respectful and in one culture can be really offensive in another.
Big reminder to tread carefully. Okay, let's see. Aesthetics. This one feels a little lighter maybe, but something tells me there's more to it.
Oh, absolutely. Aesthetics isn't just about like pretty things. It's a window into a culture's soul.
Right.
Art, music, folklore, even fashion and food, it's all connected.
It's like those things aren't just arbitrary choices. They reflect deeper values and beliefs. Like, I'm thinking of that story about McDonald's in Scotland. They chose a tartan for their uniforms, and it ended up causing a stir because it clashed with another clan's tartan.
No way. I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, they weren't trying to create a conflict or anything.
Of course not, but it just goes to show even those small details can have these like layers of cultural significance. What seems like a simple design choice in one culture
Can be a huge faux pas in another. All right, last but not least, language. Seems pretty self-explanatory, but something tells me there's a lot more to this one than just speaking the same tongue.
You're catching on.
Huh?
It's about so much more than words, right?
Yeah.
It's nuances, idioms, humor, even body language and tone of voice.
It's about recognizing that even when we're speaking the same language, there can be these subtle variations that completely change the meaning.
Exactly. This source material has some hilarious examples of how things get lost in translation. Like there was this chicken company tried to market their product as tender, appealing.
Right.
But the translation ended up implying something, something else entirely.
Oh no, I bet their marketing team was thrilled. It's like even when we're trying our best, those cultural blind spots can really trip us up. So how do we move from just knowing about these elements to actually navigating them with more sensitivity?
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. Everything from how technology impacts things to those super nuanced language barriers. But how do we actually put all this knowledge into practice? Like, it feels like there's a difference between just knowing about these cultural elements and actually truly getting it.
Yeah, totally. And the source material actually makes a distinction here between factual knowledge and interpretive knowledge.
Okay, I like where this is going.
It's that interpretive knowledge, that deeper understanding of the why behind things that really helps us develop true cultural sensitivity.
Break that down for me. So think of it like this. Factual knowledge is knowing that, say, certain hand gestures are considered rude in some cultures.
Right, like don't do that.
Exactly. But interpretive knowledge is understanding why.
Okay.
It's knowing the history, the values, the beliefs that give meaning to those gestures.
So it's one thing to know that, like, in many Asian cultures, it's super disrespectful to point with your index finger. But it's another thing to understand that it stems from this deep respect for personal space, not wanting to single people out, right?
Exactly. Interpretive knowledge helps us move beyond just memorizing a bunch of cultural facts.
Yeah.
It helps us actually empathize with different perspectives.
This reminds me of this time I was traveling in Greece a while back, and I kept totally misreading how people were responding to me. Like a simple okay gesture, totally normal here, right? But there it was seen as dismissive, even insulting.
I had the factual knowledge totally wrong, but more importantly, I didn't have the interpretive knowledge to understand why.
That's where those iceberg moments happen. We have to remember that our cultural lens, it's not always the right one for every situation, right?
So how do we cultivate that interpretive knowledge? It feels like it's got to be more than just reading a book or memorizing a list of do's and don'ts, right?
For sure. It's about actively engaging with different cultures, asking questions, being open to having your assumptions challenged,
Yeah, being okay with being uncomfortable sometimes.
Exactly. Like that feeling of, wait, I don't get this. That's an opportunity to learn and grow.
We're all students in this, always learning and growing.
100%. And the more we can embrace that curiosity, that openness, the better we'll be at navigating this increasingly interconnected world. This has been eye-opening. Seriously, I feel like we've only scratched the surface here.
Oh, we've barely dipped our toes in the water.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway, the thing I hope people really remember is this. Culture isn't right or wrong. It's just different. And when we embrace those differences, when we try to understand the why behind the what, that's how we build those bridges of understanding,
Such a powerful point. And on that note, a huge thank you to you for taking this deep dive with us, and to you, our amazing listeners, for joining us on this journey of cultural exploration. We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and maybe even sparked some curiosity as you navigate our increasingly diverse world. Until next time.